So welcome back to another edition of King Street Kids Q&A. How are y'all doing?
Doing well. Good to see everybody.
We can go ahead and jump in. Our first question, all right, maybe this is beach inspired, I don't know. Was Jonah, you remember Jonah, was Jonah really swallowed by a big fish?
I mean, I hope so. I really do. I think that just gives the story another layer of excitement. So yeah, I like to think that it was.
I love the Jonah story. It's one of my favorite ones. So some translations say fish, some say whale.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the takeaway is not whether it was a fish or a whale, but it was the fact that it was a wilderness time
Mm-hmm.
that he entered
Mm-hmm.
and he came out of. And it's pretty telling that the fish or whale or whatever it was, the Leviathan, at the end, spit up Jonah, threw him up, vomited him out onto the land so that he was out. And he had been through this wilderness. And I think the 3 days part pretty important too. He was away in wilderness or in a tomb-like place, like the belly of some kind of fish, for 3 days, and came out differently on the other side. I think that's the takeaway.
So there's plenty of fish out there big enough to have eaten Jonah. It's the fact that Jonah made it out that's the big deal.
I think so.
Yeah.
Out changed, and I think also the important part is that we all have a little bit of Jonah, or like Jonah in a little way. We like to run from God. We go through our wildernesses. We come out the other side, and God stays with us through it all.
Moving right along. You know, we were used to worshiping in the nave together. If we aren't inside that nave at church, is it really worship, or are people just watching worship? Is it worship if you're not in the nave at church?
I mean, I think absolutely right, and that's probably has more to do with my background in doing a lot of like outdoor ministry. We don't usually, like a lot of the camps I worked at, we didn't have a sanctuary per se. We had worship sites around camp, but predominantly it was more of we embraced an attitude where wherever you are, no matter what, if you're coming together with people to worship, that is a congregation or a community. And I think there's an added element of difficulty given the pandemic, but for our circumstances, absolutely. I mean, we have to make the best of our situations, and currently that is an online worship.
Hey, before this whole pandemic started, we had worship in the nave on Sunday mornings, but we also had it on Wednesday nights in Parish Hall, and it was a more humble space than the nave.
Yeah.
And now they're in their homes or wherever they are watching us, and we're having worship in the assembly. It's an extended assembly. And on Wednesdays now for our Wham, we are having fun, aren't we? We are going on the road with Wham. So church now is the courtyard. Shem Creek was yesterday. We have some coming up, which are going to be, I think people will like those. And
I think having a central place that people know consistently worship's going to happen here is helpful for communities to know, if I show up at this time at this place, this is where worship's going to be. And that's what our nave was for us. But it doesn't have to be inside of a building. We can do worship in all kinds of places, and this might be a little bit of a touchy subject. It comes from a parent. One of the things that's been happening during COVID is it's been hard to get to hair salons and barbershops. So if a mom gives a kid a bad haircut, are they still beautiful in God's eyes?
No, sorry, not.
What?
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
God's grace still happens, we're still creations of God. So of course we are.
So yeah, we're still made in God's image and beautiful.
I think grace and God shows up in the fact that hair keeps growing. Bad haircuts don't last forever.
That's right. You're only one haircut away from a better haircut.
But the photos are forever.
Well, thank you guys for coming out again for another round of King Street Kids Q&A.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and as always, if there's any burning questions out there, feel free to email those questions to Daniel, and we will do our very best to answer them. That's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.